السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله الذي خلق السماء وزينه وفرش الأرض ومهده وخلق الإنسان وصوره غافر الذنب وقابل التوب شديد العقاب ذي الطول لا إله إلا هو إليه المصير. ثم الصلاة والسلام على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين المبعوث معلما ومربيا ومزكيا لهذه النفس التي ألهمها خالقها فجورها وتقواها. قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها. وبعد. All praise and thanks are due to Allah the Almighty, the one who created the whole universe and put everything in order, the one who raised up the sky and beautified it with the stars, the one who stretched out the earth and stabilized it with the mountains, the one who created human being and formulated him in the best proportion. He is the forgiver of all sins, the acceptor of all repentance, severe in punishment, owner of bounty. There is no deity that has the right to be worshipped but He alone, and to Him is our final destination. And may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon the seal of the messengers, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the one who was sent as a teacher of mankind, as a nurturer of mankind, and as a purifier of his soul that is inspired by its Lord. With its good and its evil, successful indeed is the one who purifies his soul, and failure indeed is the one who tainted his soul. And as for that which follows, inshallah, today, as all of you know, the topic of our seminar is about hijab. And the word hijab, it means a barrier or a veil or a cover. And if you want to protect something, what do? You cover it. So Allah the Almighty wants to protect our women. This is the reason why He commanded the women to wear hijab. However, there are different forms of hijab. And we have the hijab of the eye. And this is what Allah the Almighty began with when talking about hijab. He did not mention the hijab of covering our body first. Rather, He addressed the hijab of the eye first by saying, وَكُلِّ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ. Tell the believing men to lower their gaze and preserve their chastity. And then He said, وَكُلِّ الْمُؤْمِنَاتِ, and then tell the believer women to lower their gaze and then preserve their chastity. And afterwards He mentioned the hijab of covering our bodies. Wa alaikum salam. And this verse is in Surah An-Nur. In Surah An-Nur. And Surah An-Nur is one of the most important chapters of the Quran. Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, during his reign, he made it mandatory upon all women of his time to memorize Surah An-Nur. Because Surah An-Nur has a lot of beneficial stories and beneficial things that we can learn from. And before we address this verse, we would like to mention the context of the verse by mentioning in brief the beginning of the surah and how it goes till we come to where Allah the Almighty is commanding us to lower our gaze. He the Most High began the surah by mentioning the abomination of Zina and the penalty of those who committed that abomination. And Zina, as all of you know, is categorized under major sin. As a matter of fact, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal said, I don't know any sin after murder that is worse than zina. This is the reason why when you read the Quran, you will come across many verses where He the Most High always connects zina and murder. Like He the Most High mentioned in Surah Al-Furqan, He said, وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَدْعُونَ مَعَ اللَّهِ إِلَهًا آخَرَ. Those who do not associate partners with Allah. وَلَا يَقْتُلُونَ النَّفْسَ الَّتِي حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ إِلَّا بِالْحَقِّ. And they don't kill the soul which Allah the Almighty forbade us from killing except with the truth. وَلَا يَزْنُونَ. And they don't commit what? Zina. So He the Most High mentioned afterwards, وَمَنْ يَلْقَ ذَلِكَ وَمَنْ يَفْعَلْ ذَلِكَ يَلْقَ أَثَامًا. Whoever committed these previous mentioned abominations, then he will face a torment, a great torment. يضاعف له العذاب يوم القيامة ويخلد فيه مهانا. The punishment will be doubled and multiplied on him on the day of judgment, and he will abide therein forever. So the abomination of zina is something that is very, very major. That's why Ibn al-Qayyim said all the divine religion have agreed on the impermissibility of zina. And he said if Allah the Almighty did not send down book, and he did not send the messengers to tell us that zina is haram, our natural disposition and our sound intellect will tell us that zina is something that needs to be what? Avoided. And hijab is legislated in order to protect us from falling into this abomination. Whether we are talking about the hijab of the eye or the hijab of our physical body. So here the Most High mentioned saying, "Az-zaniyatu waz-zani fajlidu kulla wahidin minhuma mi'ata jalda." He said the fornicatress and the fornicator, each of them should be lashed how many times? 100 times. And then he the Most High mentioned afterwards saying, وَلَا تَأْخُذْكُمْ بِهِمَا رَأْفَةً فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ. And do not have any sympathy or mercy when carrying on the penalty on them. Of course, all of you know the most merciful is who? Allah. The one who commanded us to lash those who commit zina 100 lashes is the most merciful, and he has mercy to them more than we do. As a matter of fact, carrying that penalty on them is part of the mercy of Allah the Almighty. Because He the Most High, when we commit sin, He disciplines us just so that we will return and do what is right. It is like the example of a child who disobeys his father, right? So the father whipped him on his behind, even though the father loved him. But he whipped him in order to demonstrate saying, I love you. That is why I am beating you. So He the Most High has established this penalty because He loved us. That is why He's telling us not to have any mercy in our heart when doing that. Our noble scholar gave us a beautiful example, Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali, when talking about this. He said this is like the example of Dhunnun al-Masri. And Dhunnun al-Masri was one day, walking in his neighborhood, and he heard a little boy crying while his mom was beating him. Then the mom kicked the boy out of the house, and she locked the door, and she left him out. So the boy started to cry, and he will pace to the right and pace to the left. He does not know to which direction to go. So he realized that he has nowhere to go, but to come back to who? To his mother. So he came back and sat at the door of his mother crying, while tears were flowing from his eyes. And he said, "Oh, my mother, who will bring me closer to them if you push me away from you? Oh, my mother, who will open their doors for me if you close your doors on me? Oh, my mother, who will forgive me if you did not what? Forgive me." So the mom heard what he was saying, and she looked through a hole in her room, in her door, and she saw her boy crying while tears were flowing from his eyes. So she sympathized for the boy, and she opened the door, and she grabbed her child, she placed him on her lap, and she hugged him, and she started to kiss him. And she said to him, "Oh, the most precious thing to me. Oh, the pleasure of my eyes. You are the one who made me put you into this situation. If you were to be obedient to me, you would not have experienced any hardship or any dislikeness from me." So when we commit sin, Allah the Almighty will discipline us just so that we will return to Allah the Almighty. So here the Most High said, وَلْيَشْهَدْ عَذَابَهُمَا طَائِفَةٌ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And let a party in a group of the believers witness this penalty. Why do you think Allah the Almighty said that? I'm asking. What's the wisdom? So that it will be a lesson for them and a warning for them to stay away. Because if you end up into what he has ended up, then you will face similar penalty, and it will be a disgrace for you. So we ask Allah the Almighty to make us amongst those who understand this. Amen. And then He the Most High moved on after mentioning the penalty of zina and the abomination of zina. He moved on to talk about another grave sin, which is accusing our Muslim brothers and sisters of zina without any evidence. Then He the Most High said, as for those who do this, وَالَّذِينَ يَرْمُونَ الْمُحْصَنَاتِ, ثم لم يأتوا بأربعة شهداء فاجلدوهم 80 جلدة. For those who accused the Muslim men and women of Zina and did not provide 4 witnesses, they should receive how many lashes? 80 lashes. Not only that, Allah the Almighty said, وَلَا تَقْبَلُوا لَهُمْ شَهَادَةً أَبَدًا. Never accept their testimony. Not only that, وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. And these are the fusaq. So number 1, He the Most High said, lash them 80 lashes. Number 2, do not accept their testimony. And number 3, they are fusaq. So we have to be mindful of what comes out of our mouth and out of our tongue when talking about our brothers without any evidence. Today, if this had was to be established, then many people will fall into this. Because today people will accuse someone of zina just because he saw somebody with a woman in a car. You don't have any proof to prove that. So we ask Allah the Almighty to grant us protection from this. Amen. Then He the Most High moved on to mention a solution for a man and his wife who came across his wife doing something that she's not supposed to be doing. How is she going to? How are they going to what? Solve this problem? Then Allah the Almighty established the ruling of al-li'an. Al-li'an is, may Allah the Almighty protect us. When a man saw his family with another man, but he does not have any witnesses to prove that. Allah the Almighty mentioned that when this happened, then both parties have to invoke the curse of Allah the Almighty against themselves, meaning on themselves if they are liars. And this did happen during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet brought this man and his wife, and he asked them to swear. So the Prophet asked the man to swear, and the man swore 4 times. The 5th time, the Prophet said, "Put your hands in his mouth." Wait, then the Prophet reminded him. And then the Prophet said, "Listen, one of you must be lying. So if you know that you're not telling the truth, then do not swear. Because the disgrace of this dunya is lighter than the disgrace of the hereafter." And the man said, "I'm telling the truth," and he swore. The 5th one, swearing. And then it was the woman's turn. She swore the 4th. And then the 5th, the Prophet said, "Hold on." Then the Prophet reminded her. And so one of you must be lying. So if you know that you are lying, then tell the truth. Because the disgrace of this dunya is lighter than the disgrace of the hereafter. But that lady persisted and said, "I'm not gonna disgrace my family." And she swore the 5th time. Then the Prophet separated between them. And if this happened, it will be a separation where there will be no reunification. It's a separation forever. And then the Prophet then said, if she brought the baby looking so and so, the Prophet mentioned specific what? Features. If the baby is bow-legged with big buttocks, then he is to the one whom she is accused of being with. And when she brought the baby did look like the one she was what? Accused of being with. But that baby was never ever accused of being a baby that was born out of what? Wedlock. That baby is attributed to the lady. And that baby grew up and he became one of the Muslim leaders, a pious what? Man. And we ask Allah the Almighty to forgive them. So we ask Allah the Almighty to grant us understanding of the deen. Amen. So a situation like this, even though the companions know that lady did what? Committed that. The Prophet mentioned the description and it happened like that, but we still cannot attribute that to them. Why? Because there is no evidence, number 1. And number 2, she did not admit to that. Now question, if you come across, may Allah forbid, in the house and you see a family with somebody and you don't have any witness, what is the best thing to do? Do you conceal her and ask Allah the Almighty to forgive her, or do you raise that up to those in charge in order to what? Establish the li'an? What is the best thing to do? What do you think is the best? The Lord forgive us and protect us from that. And never test us with that. Because during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Saad, what's his name? That Saad ibn Mu'adh. He was one of the leaders of the Khazraj of Medina, right? And he was someone who is not of his era, right? So he said, if I saw somebody with my wife, I will kill her, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if you do not have witness, you're gonna get what? 80 lashes. And he said, oh Messenger of Allah, I will come and see somebody with my family, and then if I don't have witness, I will still receive 80 what? Lashes? The Prophet said yes. And then he couldn't understand. He said, if I see somebody with my, I'm just going to kill that individual. So while he was saying this, a man just came and said, I am tested with what Saad was just what? Talking about, right? So the best thing to do, like I said, this thing can happen, but the best thing to do if a situation like this happen is to consult your family, ask forgiveness for them, and pray that Allah the Almighty should forgive her and admonish them to what? To make tawbah. Will that nullify the marriage? No. Until you choose to what? Say you are divorced. If she is divorced, we ask Allah the Almighty to forgive. Okay, now another question. What if a woman walked in and she saw her husband with another woman that she know is not her, is not his wife? What does she do? Does she have the right of li'an or no? A woman does not have the right for li'an. This is what the scholars said. A man has the right for li'an. So if she does not have any witnesses, hers is to remain what? Silent. If she wants to admonish her husband to repent from so doing, that is between her and him. If she feels like it cannot live with him because he is not what? Sincere, she can choose to ask to what? To leave. Okay? But she does not have the right for li'an. The right of li'an is only for the husband. I hope this is clear. Because some women, because a situation like this happen and someone think that they have the right for a li'an, but in reality, li'an, as our scholars mentioned, is just for the husband and not for the woman. Wallahu a'lam, and the hikmah may be because the husband is the man of the house, and the house is what? Is his. So he can bring someone, and the husband also have the right to marry more than what? More than one wife. Okay, so there are many shubha behind, but there is no way a woman can have another husband, right? So there may be a lot of shubha around it. That is why women do not have the right for li'an. So he, the Most High, then mentioned that when this happened, this is what is going to be happening in order to resolve the issue. Then afterwards, he, the Most High, moved on and said to those who have been accused for something that they did not do. If someone accuses you of something that you do not do, it is very hurtful. But he, the Most High, said, do not think that this is something that is bad for you. It is good for you. Because on the day of judgment, you will get all the reward. Anything that somebody say about you that is not true, that person has violated your right. And you will get your reward on the day of judgment. That's why when Aisha was accused of what she did not do, he, the Most High, said, Inna alladhina ja'u bil ifki usbatu minkum. He said, indeed, those who came with the fabricated story of Aisha, they are a group from you, and these are the hypocrites. Then he, the Most High, said, La tahsabuhu sharran lakum, bal huwa khayrun lakum. Do not think that it is bad for you. Yes, it's hurtful. It's going to harm you. But in reality, at the end, it is good for you. Because when Aisha was accused of what she did not do, the Prophet ﷺ was very, very sad. He was in a very depressed situation. And he would not talk to Aisha. And Aisha did not know, why is the Prophet not talking to me? Why did he change his behavior towards me? It is part of our nature to feel like this. And she did not know until one day she was going out to answer the call of nature with Mistah. And the mother of Mistah stumbled. When she stumbled, she said some words against what? Mistah. And Aisha said, evil indeed is that which you have said. What would you say that about your son? And then she said, if only that you know what my son is saying about you. And Aisha said, what is your son saying about me? And then she narrated to Aisha what is going on. The rumors that is what? Going on. This is when Aisha went back. And she said, when I heard this, I felt sick. And I couldn't eat. I came to the Prophet and I asked him for permission. Can I go to my parents' house? She asked permission to go to her parents' house. And she went to her parents' house. And she asked her dad, what is going on? And the dad said, this is what is going on. And she said, do you guys believe in this? She said, but we have nothing to say. Like, we don't know. And the Prophet, everybody is what? Is confused. So what I'm saying here is that it is going to hurt if you are accused. But at the end, al-aqibat al-muttaqeen, the good ending is for those who keep their duty to Allah the Almighty. Because of this, now Allah the Almighty has elevated the status of Aisha and revealed a Quran about her, and it will be recited till the day of judgment. So here the Most High said, do not think that it is something that is harmful to you, rather it is something that is good for you. May the Almighty make us amongst those who understand this. Amen. And then here the Most High move on to admonish the believing men and the believing women to have a positive thought with one another. He the Most High said, لَوْلَا إِذْ سَمِعْتُمُوهُ ظَنَّ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتُ بِأَنفُسِهِمْ خَيْرًا. Why is it that when you heard that allegation, why is it that the believing men and the believing women did not have positive thoughts towards one another? So if there is someone whose good is known, someone whose evil is buried, because there is no one amongst us except that they have short what? Comment. But as long as that individual is not an open sinner, as long as he is known in the community of his good, if he stumbled, conceal him. That's number one. And if you don't have any proof about what is being said, somebody came to say, well, I heard that so-and-so did so-and-so, do not believe in that. Rather say, have a positive thought about your brother, because this is what we are commanded when we as believers. So here the Most High said, لولا إذ ظن المؤمنون والمؤمنات بأنفسهم خيرا وقالوا هذا إفك عظيم. And they will say, this is a clear and a plain lie. May the Almighty grant us understanding of the deen. Amen. Then here the Most High move on to admonish us to be mindful of what comes out of our mouth and what we are saying. Because perhaps you will say something that you think it is minor and it is light, but in the sight of Allah the Almighty it is major. He the Most High said, إِذْ تَلَقَّوْنَهُ بِأَلْسِنَتِكُمْ. Remember, when you were spreading that news with your tongue, وَتَقُولُونَ بِأَفْوَاهِكُمْ مَا لَيْسَ لَكُمْ بِهِ عِلْمٍ. And you are saying with your tongue that which you do not have any knowledge of. وَتَحْسَبُونَهُ هَيِّنًا. And you think that it is something that is minor. وَهُوَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ عَظِيمٌ. When with Allah the Almighty it is major. So we have to be mindful of what we say. We have to be mindful of what we circulate. Because a word that you may say may be the reason why you will end up ending in the hellfire. That's why the Prophet ﷺ, when he was talking to Mu'adh, and he gave him advice at the end, he said to Mu'adh, كُفَّ عَنْكَ هَذَا. He said, protect your tongue. And Mu'adh said, وَإِنَّا لَمُؤَاخَذُونَ بِمَا نَتَكَلَّمُ بِهِ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ. Through Messenger of Allah, ﷺ, are we going to be held accountable for the things that we say? And the Prophet said, وَهَلْ يَكُبُّ النَّاسِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ فِي النَّارِ إِلَّا حَصَائِرِ أَلْسِنَتِهِمْ. The Prophet said, on the day of judgment, the thing that will toss many people on their faces in the hellfire is what they say with their tongue. And the Prophet ﷺ also said in the hadith that is narrated by Bukhari from the narration of Abu Hurairah, that a man will say a word from the anger of Allah the Almighty, that he will not pay no mind to what he has said, but that will be the reason why he will be put down. Death in the hellfire, the depth of what? 70 arm length. So we ask Allah the Almighty to make us amongst those who protect their tongues. Ameen. So here the Most High advised us to be mindful of what comes out of our mouth. And then in the next verse, here the Most High warned those who like to spread the sins of the believers. So إن الذين يحبون أن تشيع الفاحشة في الذين آمنوا لهم عذاب أليم في الدنيا والآخرة والله يعلم وأنتم لا تعلمون. So indeed, those who love to spread the sin of the believers, meaning, الذين آمنوا لهم عذاب أليم, theirs will be a painful punishment in this dunya and in the hereafter, and Allah knows while you know not. Abu Salama, he mentioned that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ya man amana bilisani walam yadkhul al-iman qalbah." He said, "Oh, you who claim faith with your tongue, but faith has yet to enter your heart. La tu'dhul mu'minin, do not harm the believers. Wala tattabuhum, and do not backbite the believers. Wala tattabi'u awratihim, and do not trace the shortcoming of the believers. فَإِنَّهُ مَنْ تَبَعَ أَوْرَةَ مُسْلِمٍ اتَّبَعَ اللَّهُ أَوْرَةَ." Because whoever traces the shortcoming of the believer in order to talk about him, then Allah the Almighty will trace his shortcoming. وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَ اللَّهُ أَوْرَةَ يَفْضَحُهُ اللَّهُ فِي جَوْفِ بَيْتِهِ. And the one whom Allah the Almighty traces his shortcoming, then Allah the Almighty will disgrace him in the midst of his house. So we ask Allah the Almighty to make us among those who mind our own business. Abu Hatim said, the intelligent believer is the one who occupied himself with his own sins. Because when you occupy yourself with your own sins, you see your shortcoming and you correct them. But if you occupy yourself with other people's shortcoming, you will not see your shortcoming, let alone correcting your shortcoming. So in reality, you are opening or dragging yourself to your ports of destruction. Uqba ibn Amir came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said to the Prophet, "Ya Rasulallah, man najat?" He said, "O Messenger of Allah, what is the way out? How can I be saved?" And the Prophet ﷺ said to him, "Amsik alayka lisanak." Bite your tongue. Bite your tongue. Wabki ala khati'atik, and cry over your own shortcoming. Walzam baytak, and let your house, meaning occupy yourself in your house and with the affairs of your house. This is the advice of the Prophet ﷺ to Uqba ibn Amir. So let us try to bite our tongue and cry over our own shortcoming and let our own affairs occupy ourselves with our own affairs. Because this is what is going to happen on the day of judgment. Allah the Almighty is not going to ask you about your affair. Someone else's affair is going to ask you about what you did. That's why He the Most High mentioned in Surah Al-Abasa, He said, يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ, the day when a man will run away from his brother, وَأُمِّهِ وَأَبِيهِ, and from his mother and from his father, وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِيهِ, and from his wife and his children. Allah the Almighty mentioned afterwards, لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ شَأْنٌ يُغْنِيهِ. Every individual on that day has enough on his plate to make him neglectful of others. So why do you occupy yourself about shortcomings of others when you are not going to be questioned about them? That's why the Prophet said, "Min husni Islam al-mar'i tarkuhu ma la ya'ni." From among the thing that make your Islam beautiful is to leave that which does not concern you. So this is part of the perfection of someone's faith. But unfortunately, today we are running and chasing and digging in to look for someone's shortcoming just so that we'll talk about that individual. And if we did not see any shortcoming, we fabricated a story just to talk about that individual. But Allah the Almighty is Rahim, yuhibbu min ibadihi rahman. He's merciful, and He loves those who are merciful amongst His servant. He is Satir. He is someone who conceals the shortcoming of his servant, and he wants the servant to conceal the shortcoming of their brothers. So we ask Allah the Almighty to grant us understanding of the Deen. Amen. So He the Most High, after warning us, saying we should not spread the shortcoming of the believers, He said those who do this, they will receive a painful torment in this dunya and in the hereafter. And Allah knows while they know not. Then afterwards, He is forbidding us from following the footsteps of the devil. He said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la tattabi'u khutuwati shaitan. So all you who believe, do not follow the footsteps of the devils. وَمَن يَتَّبِعْ خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ, because whoever follow the footsteps of the devil, فَإِنَّهُ يَأْمُرُ بِالْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنكَرِ, that indeed that individual will only command with fahsha and licentiousness, وَالْمُنكَرِ, and evil. So whoever have a negative thought about his brother without a reasonable cause, then he is following the footsteps of the devil. Whoever accuses brother of something that they did not do, he is following the footsteps of the devil. Whoever commits Zina is following the footsteps of the devil. So the footsteps of the devil are the things that will lead us and drag us to the hellfire. So here the Most High said, "La tattabi'u khutuwati shaitan." Do not follow the footsteps of the devil. فَإِنَّهُ مَن يَتَّبِعُ خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ فَإِنَّهُ يَأْمُرُ بِالْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنكَرِ. Then He the Most High said, وَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ. Had it not been because of the mercy and the bounty of Allah the Almighty on you, مَا زَكَى أَحَدٌ مِنْكُمْ أَبَدًا. None of us will be what? Purified. Because each and every one of us know ourselves. So He the Most High, out of His mercy, He consoled your shortcoming and make known to the people your good deeds. This is one of the greatest blessings of Allah the Almighty on us. Could you imagine that if you commit sin and you walk out, people will see it on your face? Or he has committed such and such sin. How will life will become? So this is part of the mercy of Allah the Almighty that we have to be grateful to Allah the Almighty for. So here the Most High said, وَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ مَا زَكَى مِنْكُمْ مِنْ أَحَدٍ أَبَدًا وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يُزَكِّي مَنْ يَشَاءُ. But it is Allah the Almighty, the one who purifies whom He wills. That's why it's very important for us to always ask Allah the Almighty to purify our soul, right? Because the Prophet ﷺ, part of the dua that he usually say, as it is mentioned in Bukhari, is Allahumma ati nufusana taqwaha. You say, oh Allah, grant our souls its piety. Wa zakkiha anta khayru man zakkaha. And purify our souls. For indeed, you are the best of those who purify our souls. Anta waliyuha wa mawlaha. You are the owner and the protector of our souls. Wa anta ala kulli shay'in qadir. And you have the ability to do all things. So we need to constantly ask Allah the Almighty to protect us, to guide us, to be able to do what He has commanded us to do. Ibn al-Qayyim said, if we cannot get something from this dunya except by the help of Allah the Almighty, what do you think of something of the hereafter? That is more important than the stuff of the dunya. But most of the time, we ask Allah the Almighty to help us to get things of this dunya, but we forget to ask Allah the Almighty to help us with the things that will help us towards obtaining Jannah. This is the reason why the Prophet ﷺ said to Mu'adh, he said, Ya Mu'adh, he said, oh Mu'adh, inni uhibbuk, indeed I love you. فَلَا تَنْسَ أَن تَقُولَ دُبُرَ كُلِّ صَلَاةٍ. Therefore, do not forget to say after every prayer, Allahumma inni ala dhikrik wa shukrik wa husni ibadatik. Oh Allah, assist me to be mindful of you, to be grateful to you, and to worship you in the proper manner. So we ask Allah the Almighty to make us amongst those who put this into practice. Amen. Then He the Most High afterwards commanded us to forgive those who wrong us by accusing our honor, as long as they are good believers, but then they stumble and did that. like it happened with Mr. Because Mr. was a good believer. However, when the issue of and the allegation of Aisha happened, he also stumbled. So Abu Bakr was very angry and he said, I'm not going to support Mr. anymore. And Mr. was a muhajir, he was an immigrant, he was a close family member of Abu Bakr, and he was also a poor person. So he, the Most High, revealed this verse saying, وَلَا يَأْتَلِ أُولُو الْفَضْلِ مِنْكُمْ وَالسَّعَةِ أَنْ يُؤْتُوا أُولِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْمَسَاكِينَ وَالْمُهَاجِرِينَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلْيَعْفُوا وَلْيَصْفَحُوا أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ أَنْ يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. So Allah the Almighty revealed this this verse, addressing Abu Bakr in particular and all of us in general. He said, those whom Allah the Almighty blessed with the ease of this dunya should not refuse to give their family members and the muhajirun, those who might migrated, and the poor. Our scholars said Mr. relate to Abu Bakr. Mr. was a migrant and Mr. was a poor person. And Allah always said, وَلْيَعْفُوا وَلْيَصْفَحُوا, and let them forgive and pardon. Allah tuhibbuna an yaghfirallahu lakum. Don't you want Allah the Almighty to forgive you? So let's say somebody stumbled, maybe your brother, maybe your friend, he says something about you that he's not supposed to say. Allah said, forgive him. As long as this is not a habit, as long as it is something that happened, by mistake, forgive him. And if you forgive, then Allah the Almighty will forgive you. So when this verse was revealed, Abu Bakr went to Musta and said to him, I'm sorry, from today I'm going to continue to give you my support. So this is also a beautiful lesson that Allah the Almighty is teaching us, to remember to forgive those who wrong us. And this is something that is mentioned in various verses of the Quran, as He the Most High mentioned in Surah Al-Fussilat, وَلَا تَسْتَوِي الْحَسَنَةُ وَلَا السَّيِّئَةُ. He said, good and bad are not equal. Therefore, idfa' billati hiya ahsanu sayyi'ah. Repel evil with that which is good. فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكِ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ. And if there is someone whom there is an enmity between you and that individual, treat that individual as if he is your bosom Your bosom friend, your close friend. But not everybody has the heart to forgive. Our noble scholar Imam Abu Hatim said, it is not befitting for the intelligent believer to continue with hate after love. Meaning, if there is someone that there was love between you, whether it is wife and husband and wife, because sometimes it happens a lot between husband and wife. And then when the divorce comes, even with the existence of children, they became like, Fir'aun and Musa. They don't want to see each other. They hate each other. That's why during divorce, He the Messiah, when talking about the ayat, the verses of divorce, He said, وَلَا تَنْسَوْا الْفَضْلَ بَيْنَكُمْ. He said, do not forget the virtue that happened between both parties when going through the process of divorce. Do not forget there were good days that you had together. Do not forget there was good support between both parties. So the point that I'm saying is, it is not befitting for the intelligent believer to continue with hate after loving somebody. And if it happened that the devil came between you, then you should allow a room for reconciliation in order to ease your heart and to seek the elevation from Allah the Almighty. So He the Most High is teaching us to forgive those who wrong us. And then He the Most High said afterwards, الطيبات للطيبين والطيبون للطيبات والخبيثات للخبيثين والخبيثون للخبيثات. Our scholars said this verse is saying that good words come from the mouth of good people, and bad words come from the mouth of bad people. And so those who are good will not say any word that would hurt the feeling of their brothers. They will not say any word that will taint the reputation of their brothers without any evidence to support what they are saying. Then afterwards, He the Messiah mentioned the verse of Isti'adhan. He said, يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تدخلوا بيوتا غير بيوتكم حتى تستأنسوا وتسلموا على أهلها. So that all you who believe, do not enter houses that are not yours until you ask permission to enter and then say salam to the inhabitants of the house. Our scholars said the reason why we ask permission to enter someone's house is to protect our eyes from seeing what it should not see. Because the house is the place of comfort for us. It is the place of tranquility. Allah the Almighty said, وَاللَّهُ جَعَلَ لَكُم مِّن بُيُوتِكُمْ سَكِنًا. It is part of the mercy and bounty of Allah the Almighty that He made your houses to be a place of relaxation and tranquility for you. So if people come back from outside tired, they walk in, they want to take their clothes off and feel comfortable. So if you walk in someone's house without permission, then you end up saying what is not supposed to be seen. So the scholar said the wisdom behind them asking permission to enter someone's house is because of what? To protect our eyes from seeing what is not supposed to be seen. That's why the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in one hadith that if someone tries to poke his eye and look into someone's window or this his door, they can poke his eyes what? They have the right to poke his eye out. They can put something and just poke his eye out because he's not supposed to look without any permission. But if you do this, you're going to be in trouble, right? Our scholars said the Prophet is not literally saying we should poke his eye out, but he's just telling us how serious that act is, to the point that even if they did that, they will not be held accountable for that because they have the right to do it. But this doesn't mean that you should do that. Unfortunately, nowadays, if you go, you'll probably get killed, right? Somebody will shoot you for coming at their door. But this is not what Islam is teaching us. What Islam is teaching us is to ask permission before entering someone's house. Then He, the Most High, mentioned afterwards saying, وَكُلِّ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَيَحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَهُمْ. Tell the believing men to lower their gaze and preserve their chastity. ذَلِكَ أَزْكَىٰ لَهُمْ. That is purer for them. And this is one of the most important things that Allah the Almighty commands us to preserve. And if you preserve this, then you will be preserved by who? Allah the Almighty. Because remember the hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas, when the Prophet ﷺ was teaching him some words of advice. He said, إِنِّي أُعَلِّمُكَ كَلِمَاتٍ. So I'm going to teach you some words of advice. احفظ الله يحفظك. He said, preserve Allah, and Allah the Almighty will what? Preserve you. Our scholar Ibn Rajab bin al-Hanbali, on his commentary of this hadith, he said, how do we preserve Allah? We cannot preserve Allah. The way we preserve Allah is by preserving His set limits without violating them, and preserving His commands by adhering to them. So if you preserve the do's of Allah the Almighty by adhering to it, and the don'ts of Allah the Almighty by abstaining from it, then Allah the Almighty will preserve you. However, one of the most important things that Allah the Almighty commanded us to preserve is our chastity, and likewise the prayer. That's why when you read Surah Al-Mu'minun, when Allah the Almighty was talking about the qualities of the believers, what did He say? وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ. Those who preserve their chastity. He also mentioned one of the most important things that we need to preserve is the prayer. That's why the Prophet always talk about وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَلَى صَلَوَاتِهِمْ يُحَافِظُونَ. But the point that we're talking about here is preserving our chastity and preserving our eyes from looking and gazing at things that Allah the Almighty forbade us from gazing at. The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith of Abu Hurairah, كُتِبَ عَلَى ابْنِ آدَمَ نَصِيبُهُ مِنَ الزِّنَا أو حَظُّهُ مِنَ الزِّنَا لَا مَحَالَةَ يُدْرِكُهُ. He said, every son of Adam, it is written upon every son of Adam his portion of zina. And there is no doubt that every son of Adam will have his portion of zina. That the Prophet said, Al-Aynani Tazniyan. The eyes commit zina, and the zina of the eye is what? Is looking, right? وَالْأُذُنَانِ تَزْنِيَانِ. And the two ears commit zina, and the zina of the ears is what? Listening. And the heart will desire. But the private part is that which actualizes the actual zina. So the zina of the eye is a minor zina. The zina of the ear, touching, walking, saying, all this is minor. Even the thoughts are minor. But the actual zina is what? The major zina, which is penetrating. So we ask Allah Almighty to protect us from that. Ameen. However, in order to be preserved and be protected from the actual zina, we have to protect the gateway to it. And the gateway to it is what? Looking, talking, listening, touching, to the end. This is the reason why Allah the Almighty began with that. Our noble scholar Ibn Qayyim said, whoever preserve and lower his gaze from looking at something that is haram, Allah the Almighty will inherit his heart with a pleasure and the sweetness of Iman. So whenever you lower your gaze, you get that sweetness of Iman in your heart, if only that we know. Then He the Most High also addressed the believing women, saying, وَكُلِّ الْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ وَيَحْفَظْنَ فُرُوجَهُنَّ وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا. And also tell the believing women to lower their gaze and preserve their chastity, and not to expose their aura except that which is appearing from it. The scholar said that which is appearing is the face and the hands, because these are the things that she used the most, and she's exposed to them the most. But some of the scholars said she covered everything but her eyes. But this is a point of disagreement amongst the scholars, and both scholars are trustworthy scholars. So we ask Allah the Almighty to grant us understanding of the Deen. Ameen. I think it's almost time for prayer. We will start here. If somebody has any comment or any question regarding what we have mentioned, inshallah, we will take it to the best of our ability. Jazakumullahu khairan. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك نسأل الله يتقبل منا ومنكم صالح الأعمال والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Hold on, I'm going to tell you. Banana pudding cake.